in November 2023. To be on live commentary, my name is Paul Sentindovi.
Good afternoon, my name is Taza Piri, and on sign language interpretation we are joined by Chola Kauma. We go straight into business that was considered on the floor of the House yesterday, Wednesday, 29th November 2023.
Business did begin by the First Deputy Speaker making two announcements, and the first announcement that Madam Speaker made was to recognize the presence in the public gallery of members of the Special Education Teachers Union of Zambia from different branches in Lusaka District. Madam First Deputy Speaker, on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, warmly welcomes the visitors to the National Assembly of Zambia.
The second announcement, Madam First Deputy Speaker recognized the presence in the Speaker's Gallery, the Honorable Deputy Speaker of the South African National Assembly. Madam First Deputy Speaker, on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, welcomed the guests to the National Assembly.
After that, the House did proceed to consider matters of urgent public importance, and the following matters of urgent public importance were considered under Standing Order 134. The first one did come from Mr. Ronald Chitotela, a Pambashe Member of Parliament, and this one was on the inadequate fertilizer distributed in Luapula Province, and this matter was inadmissible.
The second matter did come from Mr. Menyani Zulu, and his subject matter was on the anomaly in toll fee charges at the Konkola Toll Plaza on Chingola Kasumbalesa Road, and this matter was inadmissible.
Mr. Katakwe did raise a matter of urgent public importance on traders being harassed and beaten by ZNS officers at Kavinda and Kilumbi checkpoints on the Solwezi Kiposi Road, and this one was equally inadmissible.
And thereafter, the House went on to consider a question for oral answer number 153, under Standing Order 76.
There was a consideration of a motion, and this was introduced sign language and braille writing as optional subjects in public schools. And the question was made, and this was urging the House to actualize the provisions of the Persons with Disabilities Act number 66 of 2012, urging the government to introduce sign language and braille writing as optional subjects in public schools countrywide. And when the question was put, the division was called. And according to the votes, the ayes were 19, noes 60, and only one person did absent from voting, which means the motion was negatived.
Thereafter, the Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning, that's Honorable Chipoka Mlenga, who is the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry, did move a motion entitled Ways and Means that the House do now resolve into Committee of Ways and Means to consider the raising of supply. The Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning announced that he was a bearer of 5 messages from His Excellency the President recommending the motions for consideration of the House.
And 5 money bills were raised, and the Custom and Exercise Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 25 of 2023, and this bill seeks to amend the Customs and Exercise Act. It was presented by the Acting Minister of Finance, and this is the Commerce Minister, Honorable Chipoka Mlenga. Read the first time and referred to the Planning and Budgeting Committee for examination until Friday, 8 December 2023.
The other bill was the Zambia Revenue Authority Amendment Bill, a bill that seeks to revise the provisions relating to taxation of cross-border electronic services. The bill was presented by the Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning. Bill read the first time and referred to the Planning and Budgeting Committee for further examination until Friday, 8 December 2023.
The other bill was the Value Added Tax Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2023, and this bill seeks to amend the Value Added Tax, and it was presented by the Acting Minister of Finance and read the first time and referred to the Planning and Budgeting Committee for examination until Friday, 8th December 2023.
And the fourth bill was the Income Tax Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 29 of 2023, a bill to amend the income tax, presented by the Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning. bill read the first time and referred to the Planning and Budgeting Committee for examination until Friday, 8th December 2023.
The last bill was the Mobile Money Transaction Levy, National Assembly Bill number 31 of 2023, I beg your pardon, and this bill seeks to enact the Mobile Money Transaction Levy Act. It was presented by the Acting Minister of Finance and read the first time. It was referred to the Planning and Budgeting Committee for examination until 8th December 2023. So those were the money bills that were presented to the House yesterday.
Business of the House went on, and the Public Procurement Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 17 of 2023, was read a second time and committed to the Committee of the whole House. The Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry did present this, and committee will be taken on Wednesday, 6th December 2023.
The other bill, TAZA, is the Competition and Consumer Protection Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 10 of 2023, read the third time and passed.
And the House also considered the Trademarks Bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2023, and as amended was considered to be read the third time today.
The House did resolve into Committee of Supply to consider estimates, and you can see today we do have Madam First Deputy Speaker making her way to the chamber. We have two bills, one question for oral answer, and later on the House resolve into Committee of Supply. Keep watching Parliament.
Honorable Members of Parliament, Madam Speaker.
And the sing of Zambia, proud and free, land of wealth and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for the right. We want freedom's fight for one, strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, fashioned with and blessed by those good men. Let us all our people join as one, brothers under the sun. Oh, one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry. Dignity and peace in Zambia's sky, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, oh one, strong and free. Praise be to God, praise be, bless our great nation, Zambia, Zambia. Remain we stand under the flag of our land, Zambia. Praise to thee, oh one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessings descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, I have 4 announcements to make. The first one, honorable members have received communication to the effect that in the absence of our honor the Vice President, who is attending to other government business, the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Honorable Jacob Jack Mwimbu MP, has been appointed acting leader of government business in the House from today, 30th November 2023, until further notice. I thank you. The second one, honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of the Zambian Scouts Group Association, Lusaka District. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome our visitors in our midst. I thank you. You may take your seats. The third announcement, honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of the Dominican Sisters of the Catholic Church, based at the International Training Center for Sisterhood Formation in Woodlands, Lusaka District. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome our visitors in our midst. I thank you. The last announcement, honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of Mr. Giodo Marchant, a PhD candidate in International Institute of Social Studies from the Erasmus University Rotterdam in the Netherlands. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome our visitor in our midst. Thank you. We make progress. I can't see any matters of urgent public importance. We can straight go to the question for oral answer understanding order number 76. The Honorable Member for Kankoyo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Question 154.
The Acting Minister of Defense.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Maveta is asking the Minister of Defense the following question in 3 parts. Under A, what led to the killing of a 15-year-old boy of Kankoyo Mine Township in Mfulira District on Monday, 20th November 2023 by the Zambia National Service officers? B, what urgent measures have been taken to safeguard the lives of the citizens in general? And C, what punitive measures will be taken against the erring Zambia National Service officers? Madam Speaker, our response is as follows, and let me start on my behalf, on behalf of my ministry, and indeed on my behalf, as well as on behalf of Zambia National Service Command, convey my sincere condolences to the family for the loss of life for the boy. I wish to express my sadness for the death of a 15-year-old boy by the name of Crispin Bunda during the Zambian National Service operations in the area of Kankoyo to curb illegal smuggling of maize and mealie meal. Madam Speaker, the shooting happened on 20th November 2023 between 14 and 16 hours when the troops deployed at Kankoyo locality received information from a concerned patriotic resident of Kankoyo that at a certain identified house, there were 4,000 by 25 kg bags of mealie meal being offloaded and secured in a house of a non-smuggler by the name of Mr. Chishimba of house number A137, section A, Kankoyo compound, who owns a number of bicycles and motorbikes. The exact location of the house was forwarded to the troops. Then the troops moved immediately to the scene. Madam Speaker, when the troops reached the scene, they found 52 by 25 kg bags of mealie meal outside the smuggler's residence, while a number of bicycles were being loaded inside the residence. The troops impounded the 52 by 25 kg bags of mealie meal. Madam Speaker, when the smuggler and the bikers saw the troops moving towards them, they ran away. Thereafter, the smuggler eventually mobilized the locals in the neighborhood and started stoning the troops. 2 of the troops were severely injured, and the Zambian National Service Toyota Land Cruiser windscreen was smashed. Madam Speaker, as the mob increased and the troops fired warning shots in the air to disperse the crowd, the troops were later reinforced and managed to leave the cordoned scene. Later, there was a report from the police that a 15-year-old boy was shot and eventually died. The matter has been brought to the attention of the service, and command is closely and keenly monitoring the investigations on this matter. B, in order to deter the recurrence of such incidences, the immediate action measure which has been put in place is that the troops have been cautioned to exercise maximum restraint to ensure no civilian is injured. Madam Speaker, under C, the Ministry of Defense through Zambia National Service Command has withdrawn the entire troops manning the post in Kankoyo locality, while investigations by Zambia National Service and police are going on, and other troops have been deployed. The service is currently conducting internal investigations to establish the discharge of a round that allegedly killed the 15-year-old boy. Further investigations are being conducted by police to ascertain the source and cause of death. It is only after the investigation, Madam Speaker, after the investigations have been concluded and the cause of death established, that I will come and inform this august House accordingly. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Kankoyo.
Yes, I thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Okay. Yes, Madam Speaker, Kankoyo historically has been known as a very hostile place. It's not the first time we're having a death of a young boy through shooting, either from the police or paramilitary, because of the nature of the community. So obvious, taking ZNS to go and conduct such an operation at that time of the day was not only risky to the people, the community around, but even to the ZNS troops who were put in such an awkward situation. What I want to find out from the Minister, Madam Speaker, is who ordered ZNS to conduct such an operation at such a period of a day, causing so much danger both not only to the community, but to the ZNS officials who could have been harmed in such an operation. I thank you.
Thank you. We'll come to the point of order after the Honorable Minister has responded. The Acting Minister of Defense.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I take note of the concern by the Member of Parliament, and I think we are all saddened by this incident, particularly the loss of the 15-year-old boy. But like I indicated, the investigations are being carried out, and it's only after the investigations are concluded that we'll have a well-packed response in terms of what exactly happened on that material day. Once we have that information, after we'll have concluded the investigations, we'll be able to come back to this House and fully inform the House. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. There's an indication for a point of order. The Honorable Member for Chitambo, what is your point of order?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for according me this point of order. Madam Speaker, I've always guided that Parliament takes precedence. And Madam Speaker, in this House, we are divided into two. There is the executive and ourselves, backbenchers. Madam Speaker, can you see? Your backbenchers are full in this House. Madam Speaker, where is the executive? We only have 4 or 5 ministers in here. There are 4 ministers in here, and I can count them, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this guidance you've provided before, and you've repeatedly done so. Madam Speaker, is the executive in order to be absent in this House? And when we are actually approving the budget, which is a very important document in this country. Madam Speaker, I seek your serious ruling.
The Honorable Member for Chitambo might wish to know, and I know that he knows, that this House operates on when there's a quorum in the House. Whether the executives are there, what is very important is that there is a quorum in the House and business will continue. However, we know very well, yes, that is important. It would have been better if all the executives were here, the ministers were here, because it's a budget session. However, I think they've made arrangements of how to handle the particular heads. So because we have a quorum and business is proceeding, I think the House is moving in the right direction. If we don't have a quorum, then it will be a big worry for Parliament. We make progress. The Honorable Member for Lunte.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, after your ruling, I can see the Honorable Minister for Mongo has joined the front bench. Madam Speaker, on a very serious note, allow me to tender my sympathies to the family who lost a child under those seriously uncalled for circumstances. Madam Speaker, meal meal found in a house in Zambia is not smuggling. Smuggling is products and services crossing the border illegally. Madam Speaker, the acting minister are you considering to expeditiously take this case to the Ministry of Justice for a consent judgment so that the family who have lost a child can expeditiously also be compensated the way UPND cadres are being compensated? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Defense.
Madam Speaker, as I said, that this is a very sad incident. How I wish that the Member of Parliament for Lunte did not attempt to politicize it in the manner that he wants to politicize it. Madam Speaker, we are saddened by the loss of such a tender, such a young man at a tender age. And as government, we've put measures to ensure that all necessary information is brought to our attention. And after that, only after that, are we going to decide what steps we are going to put in place. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Just a guide, honorable members, the family of the deceased, I'm sure they are still mourning. So let's try to be a bit sensitive as we are asking the questions. And also the matter is right now in court. So let's be mindful of the questions that we want to raise. The honorable member for Kankoyo, do you have another question?
Yes, Madam Speaker, I strongly sympathize with the family who lost that child, and I've been in touch with them to ensure that they're assured that the support we committed on behalf of the government is being done. However, I want to find out from the Minister of Defense has said that ZNS has been put where they're supposed to operate from, which is 25 kilometers away from the community. What assurance is he giving the people of Kankoyo that in the near future, we're not going to see ZNS again harassing the residents of Kankoyo, and maybe try to engage the civic leaders, more especially me, the area member of parliament, to understand well this community before they can carry out an operation so that we can work together without harming anyone. I thank you.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Defense.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the Member of Parliament for Kankoyo for that additional question. Madam Speaker, like I indicated, our officers have been urged to ensure that they exercise maximum restraint to ensure that we avoid injuring citizens. The purpose of deploying security wings in an area like that is actually to safeguard property, to safeguard the citizens. It is just regrettable that this particular incident happened, and measures have been put in place to ensure that our officers act in a manner that we don't have an incident like this repeating itself. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
There's an indication for a point of order. The Honorable Member for Lunte.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Standing Order number 74 and number 76 refer to questions for oral answer and urgent questions. Madam Speaker, right now we are considering an urgent question, a very important question, relating to a child who died under very, very unfortunate circumstances. As a representative myself of the people of Lunte, I have an opportunity to ask the minister which opportunity you gave me. Once I asked the Honorable Minister, the Honorable Minister accuses me of politicking in your presence. Is it not true, Madam Speaker, that there are consent judgments in the Ministry of Justice which are happening every day? Is it not true that all people who lose their children in this manner also should look to be compensated? Where have I politicked by asking the minister whether he is considering taking this case to the Ministry of Justice so that they can consider compensating the family? Madam Speaker, I seek your serious ruling on this matter. Thank you so much.
The Honorable Member for Lunte, according to the rules or the standing orders, when we raise a point of order, we are supposed to be precise or brief. But you somehow debated your point of order and also gave answers to the point of order. You indicated to say the minister should only answer the questions, and they accused you of politicking. For me, you debated everything, and you even brought out what the minister shouldn't do, leaving the presiding officer without a ruling, because you have debated the point of order. So please, let's try, honorable members, when we are bringing a point of order, let us try to be precise and straight to the point. Let's avoid debating, because some of those points of order, they seem to be good, but you debate them and offer the solution yourself. I'm going to ask the honorable member for Kantanshi, being in the same constituency, who cover as many people as possible.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and condolences once again to the family in Kankoyo. Madam Speaker, I've carefully listened to the Minister's response. I just wanted to add further to the concerns that my colleague, Honorable Mabeta, raised. Honorable Minister, you said you deploy ZNS staff for the purposes of providing security. In Kantanshi constituency, particularly in Minambe, Mukambo, and Murundu, ZNS staff collect national registration cards for you to go and buy milimil in Zambia, which is actually a serious campaign for the New Dawn government. Every Wednesday, every Friday, you don't leave the national registration card, you come with a bag of milimil, it's confiscated. Now, again, the law is very clear. The smuggling is considered when you're 50 meters away from the border. Where ZNS is 10 kilometers away. I just want to understand the rationale behind these services that ZNS is providing, thereby causing confusion in the communities to the extent that, in this particular case, where they now go into somebody's residence because of a tip-off, and they are found with milimil, and it's considered as smuggling. And yet we are a liberalized economy. So maybe you could shed more light on the real reason why you have deployed ZNS in Mufrira. Thank you.
The Acting Minister of Defense.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I also want to thank the MP for Kantachi, Honorable Mwila, for that question. Madam Speaker, like I indicated, there are many reasons which would lead government to deploy security officers in a particular area, particularly in areas that are border areas where we are bordering with other countries. So I may not want to go into details in terms of exactly why we've deployed particular officers at what point. Those are security operations. But suffice to say that the general rule is that the security officers are there to protect property, to protect our citizens, and also to protect our borderlines. It's regrettable if the presence of the security officers is creating problems there. I think it's something that I want to look at with the ministry to see how the residents are inconvenienced. But in terms of smuggling, yes, smuggling is getting commodities across the border, but it has a starting point, Madam Speaker. It has a starting point in that before you go to the border, people have to mobilize the said commodities. And in my response here, I made it very clear that our officers had a tip-off from a patriotic resident who pointed at some activities that were happening at a house of a non-smuggler. And indeed, when they moved to that house, they found a lot of bags of mealie meal that were being loaded, some of them on bicycles. Obvious. Those of you who have constituencies on the borderlines, you know these activities and what happens. So I may not really, Madam Speaker, go into the specifics in terms of why we put certain troops, certain officers in a particular area. These are defense and security operations. But just to emphasize to the Member of Parliament that where indeed our citizens are being inconvenienced, we've taken note of your concerns. Should you have additional information, please give us so that we can address this issue to avert the inconvenience that is being experienced by our citizens. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable members, if we spend so much time on points of order, then we'll be delayed like yesterday. We have a lot of work before us. Please, let's try to ask questions instead of raising on points of order. The Honorable Member for Mufulira.
Madam Speaker, I thank you. Honorable Minister of Defense, the Acting Minister of Defense, ever since this Zambia National Service contingent was deployed to Mufulira, there has been a lot of consternation among the businessmen of Mufulira, because even non-traders with genuine licenses to trade in mealie meal are now considered smugglers with non-trading places, because others have even been followed to their non-trading places, found with bags of mealie meal, which they have always traded in. Others have even inherited businesses from their fathers, who are late now, dealing in mealie meal. But today, that mealie meal is found at their trading premises, it's confiscated, and they are treated as smugglers. The anxiety that this national service contingent has brought to Mufulira has led to the death of this young boy. And as long as they remain there without proper guidelines, we shall see more deaths in this unfortunate manner. Now, my question, Madam Speaker, is why isn't the Zambia National Service collaborating with the police when it comes to approaching those that are in the communities, not at the borders, in the communities? Why are they not engaging the police? Because the police are well trained to manage the what do I say, crowds and, you know, why are they not collaborating with the police when they want to engage the so-called suspected smugglers inside their communities? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Defense.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the Member of Parliament for Mufulira for that question. First of all, Madam Speaker, in security operations, our security officers don't work in isolation, they coordinate. And it is not true that the Zambia police are not involved in these operations. I think there are coordinations. Some of the points of coordinations might not be visible to you, but I want to assure you that there's a lot of interaction, a lot of linkages as we conduct these operations. As regards to the traders that are being inconvenienced, again, I want to place it on record that we regret that inconvenience, but again, as citizens, we must begin to take responsibility. If at a house you are going to find 1,000, 2,000 bags of mealie meal at a house, are you sure that you have a trading license at a house? But those that are being followed in the business places, established business places, I think that is worth us making a follow-up to ensure that the residents are not inconvenienced in that manner. Established businesses that are trading in mealie meal or other commodities should not be inconvenienced, and that is not the purpose of deploying officers there to inconvenience well-established businesses. We want the business to flourish, but again, we must understand that if we are going to allow food, our staple food, to exit the country through all these artificial borders without putting security measures, then this will deprive our people, this will leave our people without the much needed staple food. And it's a responsibility of government to ensure that we secure the border lines. We also secure the movement of commodities through the artificial borders. So I just want to appeal to the residents, to our citizens in the border lines, that let us cooperate with the security wings so that we are not seen to be antagonistic and being at each other's throat. The police, the security wings are there to protect our citizens. And as members of parliament in those border lines, if you really strongly feel that there are all those inconveniences, I think you ought not to wait until there's a question like this to bring it. Our offices are open. Please come to us, tell us about the wrong happenings so that we can caution the officers who have been deployed there. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I share the similar sentiments with my colleague from Kankoyo, because we face similar dilemma. Madam Speaker, allow me to quote what the ZNS Act mandates states. ZNS, Zambia National Service mandates, states that is to train citizens to serve the Republic and employ its members in tasks of national importance, which include service and defense of the Republic. And over time, the role has expanded to include, among others, agriculture, livestock, aquaculture, and industrial production. If I look at this mandate, then one may ask a question. When these ZNS people are deployed in the border areas like Mufurila and Mushindamo, are they performing their mandate? The answer lies to everyone to respond. For me,
what is your question, Honorable Member?
I'm building up on my question, Madam, because
yes, we are looking
a life
at
lost
time as well.
anywhere is a life lost everywhere. Matters of life need to be taken with the urgency it deserves. Minister, for Mushindamo, we had started one time to provide the solutions regarding the ZNS people there. The inconvenience that the citizens there are going through, the market is there, but just to go and sell even 1 meter of maize, to buy medicine, to pay for their children to school, they are curtailed from doing that business at the trading market. And solutions are there. Is it possible that you can quickly organize the elective members? Like, we are the members of parliament, we lived there, we have stayed there since we were young, and we have the solutions. But when you go and deploy these people, they don't understand the dynamics of the people there. All they do is see somebody with a mace or whatever, they beat, they confiscate, and they later on sell. Where do they take the money? But the big guys with trucks, they take their, they're allowed to. But what is going on underground? So if we sit together, we're able to provide the solutions and be able to safeguard the lives of our people. Is it possible that you can call for an urgent meeting for us to stay in the borders with the ZNS and the other defense forces so that we are able to sit and provide the solutions together? Is it possible, Minister? Thank you.
The Acting Minister of Defense.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I want to thank my brother for that question. It is possible, Madam Speaker. Like I indicated earlier, we are open to that kind of engagement for the good of our people. So again, I want to appeal to members of parliament who are serving in the constituencies that are bordering with our neighboring countries, that if they feel that there is need, like he has put it, I think we are open to getting advice. We are open to also hearing exactly what is happening on the ground. So I think it's possible. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Mandevu.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much for this opportunity to ask a question to the Acting Minister of Defense. The people of Mandevu are worried that the money which is supposed to go towards developing their roads and drainages is going to compensating people because of the unprofessional behavior of our men and women in uniform. Madam Speaker, I want to find out from the minister, is government considering of recovering monies that are being paid to compensate victims because of their unprofessional behavior, where the state through the court sustains that an officer acted outside the law? I think.
The honorable member for Mandevu, that is a totally new question, talking about compensation. If you look at the question that we have before us, he's talking about what led to the killing of a 15-year-old boy of Kankoyo, what urgent measures are being taken to safeguard the lives of the citizens in general, and what punitive measures will be taken against the erring ZNS officer. They are different questions altogether. The honorable member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Madam Speaker, I wish the substantive minister was here to answer that question, but however, it's beyond my control. Let me also pass my sincere sympathy and condolences to the family of the 15-year-old boy who was gunned down. Madam Speaker, I want to find out from the acting Honorable Minister, though part of my question has been asked by Honorable Mwila. Now that there is this outcry of the ZNS not doing the proper work, Honorable Minister, are you not considering sitting down with your counterpart from the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security so that you can substitute probably the Zambia police, who are well trained into crowd control, can start manning these border areas? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Defense.
Madam Speaker, like I indicated earlier, these operations usually are joint operations. I think in your areas you know that you have the district joint operation, the provincial joint operations. In there you have all the security wings. So even such operations, Madam Speaker, we are always coordinating as defense, as security wings with the police and the other wings of the security. So that linkage is already there. I think it's not the issue of swapping with Zambia police to replace Zambia National Service. I think the authorities are so much alive to the fact that a particular wing will be much suitable to undertake that operation in those areas we are talking about. But suffice to say that we are always coordinating with Zambia Police and others. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I'll take the last three. The honorable member for Pambashi, Zambezi East. There's no independent. We'll take Masaiti in that order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank you for the opportunity, and let me also pass my sympathy to the family that lost their child in Kankoyo, and of course to commiserate with the families that had their child shot at and still hospitalized in UTH from Mwense, Kashiva, by the ZNS officers. Minister, Zambia Revenue Authority Act, the only act, the Cap 21 of the laws of Zambia that speaks about smuggling, and I think the Minister of Justice would agree with me. Smuggling is defined as goods after crossing the border, not inland. What authority are you using that if tomorrow those people that are aggrieved will take the state to court and you'll have the leg to stand on? What authority are you using to deploy military personnel inland to start collecting goods that are being traded in by Zambians, and you are standing here, Minister, and you are calling them smuggling against the law? I want you to tell the Zambian people, and even us as parliamentarians, including maybe the Minister of Justice, what defines smuggling, because Zambia Revenue Authority is after the goods, they have closed the border. You can't define the goods within Zambian smuggling. What authority are you using? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Defense.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the Member of Parliament for Pambashe. And I think if he heard me very clearly, there is nowhere where I have said that trading inland is smuggling. There's nowhere in my response where I've said that. What I said was that our troops received information that at a particular house, there were a lot of bags of meal that were being loaded. And they went there to go and check what was happening. And at this house, apparently, this particular individual is a well-known smuggler. Now, when I say this, I'm not saying that is a well-known smuggler is smuggling by trading inland. He's a smuggler because he's well-known of mopping up commodities and taking across the border. So it's within your definition and the definition under Cap 21, which you've referred to. When someone mops up of meal and other commodities and takes across the border, they are smuggling. And it is within our responsibility as government to ensure that we provide the security to arrest wrongdoing. Again, I want to use this opportunity, Madam Speaker, to just appeal to our people on the Copper Belt that as sad as this incident is, we must ensure that we work together, cooperate with the security wings, so that we must not create unnecessary agitation that can result into some confrontation with security wings. I think each one of us must take responsibility, and I want to appeal to the civic leaders, to the members of parliament, to ensure that we assist, that what we have started seeing, the agitation where you begin to assault security officers in uniform, is uncalled for. It is wrong, it's not a good practice, so we appeal to the residents in the border lines, in the border towns, to ensure that we cooperate with the security wings. The officers are there to maintain law and order, to maintain peace, and to save the citizens. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Zambezi East.
Madam Speaker, I thank you. Madam Speaker, I would like to find out from the Acting Minister of Defense if some of these assertions could be true and how he's going to handle this matter going forward in terms of providing security for his own security officers. It is alleged that the officers that were deployed to carry out this operation were actually at risk. The said officer who could have actually carried out this shooting, though not identified to date, would have been killed by the mob that was actually agitated by that operation. And it's alleged that he actually even lost the firearm in the process and had fallen into a drainage. And in his attempt to try to save his life, he had no option but to open fire. If these assertions are true, how safe are our security officers in terms of planning for such an operation with the proper collaboration with the civic leaders to ensure that such incidences of putting our security officers in harm's way are not repeated? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Defense.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also want to thank Honorable Kambita for that question. Madam Speaker, our security officers are well trained for such operations, but obvious if they are encountered with excessive agitation, a situation like that as described, where the officers get overwhelmed. It's normal for such to happen. But permit me, Madam Speaker, like I indicated, that we allow the investigations to be concluded, because then all these assertions that are coming up will be well informed after the investigations. Otherwise, we'll end up preempting, jeopardizing the investigations that are ongoing. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I agree with you. The last member, the Honorable Member for Masaiti.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Deploying trigger-happy Zambia National Service officers in compounds and in township is making your government's popularity to decline. It's a fact. Are you reconsidering deploying these Zambia National Service officers in these or in such operations? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Defense.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. With due respect, I don't know what he means when he says, what he's really implying when he says trigger-happy officers. I think our officers are sober, but you've heard the assertions as put across by Honorable Kambita that indeed there was some agitation, and I've appealed here that we have observed with great concern that there is some growing trend where members of the society are being incited to get agitated and attack officers. So now, when that happens, you can't call the officers to be trigger happy. You know, so I think let us be responsible. These officers are our citizens. They are our own citizens. They are there to save the country. And I can only appeal that the officers operate in a sober way so that we save our people well. But again, our people, particularly on the Copper Belt, the issues of, I explained, Madam Speaker, in my statement, that the people that confronted, that attacked the officers, were mobilized by this known smuggler and other people in the neighborhood. And the government vehicle was damaged. So you can see from that narration that there was some organization, some organized grouping to go and attack the officers. We shall give more details once the investigations are concluded. And I want to put it on record that those that caused this agitation, if they are identified, the Minister of Home Affairs is here. The police are doing their work. We will not allow, as government, that people begin to mobilize citizens to get to a point where you attack an officer and even making an officer lose a firearm. That is uncalled for. So as soon as the investigations are done, we hope that we'll get enough information as quickly as possible so that those that were involved in this crime will be identified and the law must visit them. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The clerk will now read the orders of the day.
The Marriage Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 13 of 2023, committee stage.
The House will now resolve into committee.
The Marriage Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 13 of 2023, Clause 1, short title. Any debate? Any objection? Clause 1 is agreed to. Clause 2, amendment of Section 2. Any debate? Any objection? Clause 2 is agreed to. Clause 3, repeal and replacement of Section 33. Any debate? Any objection? Clause 3 is agreed to.
after clause 3, insertion of a new clause. The question is that a new clause to be inserted immediately after clause 3 stands part of the bill. The Honorable Minister of Law Government and Rural Development.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that the new clause with words as circulated be inserted immediately after clause 3.
The question is that a new clause with the words as circulated be inserted immediately after clause 3. Any debate, any objection? Amendment is agreed to. New clause inserted immediately after clause 3. Any further debate? I see none. I put the question. The question is that a new clause inserted immediately after clause 3 stands part of the bill. As many of that opinion say aye. Of the contrary say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. A new clause inserted immediately after clause 3 is ordered to stand as part of the bill. Long title. Any debate? Any objection? Long title is agreed to. The bill will be reported to the House as having passed through the committee stage with amendments. Madam Speaker, I have to report to the House that the Committee of the Whole House has gone through the Marriage Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 13 of 2023 with amendments.
Day for consideration of the report.
Tomorrow, Madam Speaker.
Consideration of the report to be taken tomorrow. Next order.
The Trademarks Bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2023. Third reading.
The Honorable Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the bill be now read the third time.
The question is that the bill be now read the third time. Any debate? Any objection? The question is agreed to. Let the bill be read the third time.
The Trademarks Bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2023.
Next order.
Estimates of revenue and expenditure, including capital and constitutional and statutory expenditure. Committee of Supply. Resumption of debate of committee work, sir.
The House will now resolve into committee.
When business was interrupted yesterday, Wednesday 29th November 2023, the Committee of Supply on the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year 1st January 2024 to 31st December 2024, presented to the National Assembly in September 2023, was considering Head 26, Minister of Information and Media, and Mr. Mngandu, Member of Parliament for Chama South, was debating. May the Honorable Member continue. If he's absent, Mr. Chitotera.
Thank you, Chairman, for giving me the opportunity to debate the Ministry of Information and Media. Chairman, the Ministry of Information and Media are the mirror of society. You will be known once you speak. People where I come from in Bemba, we say Landoi Sulishe, meaning you can only know the caliber of a person once that person speaks. So the mirror of Zambia is projected by the way Ministry of Information and Media conducts dissemination of information, allows the citizens to express themselves. Citizens must be allowed to express themselves. And when I came here to Parliament, together with my younger brother, who's the Minister for Information and Media, when we were being coached by the late Speaker, Amusa Mwanamwambwa, said, Parliament means the grouping of members of Parliament and to speak. Speaking is a fundamental human right that people must be allowed.
Point of order, Madam.
The people must be allowed to speak. And this is where we must be able to understand that divergent views are key.
Order, Honorable Member. There is a point of order by the Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm rising on Order 65 and the manner of speaking. The Honorable Member of Parliament for Pambashe is well aware that when you are speaking and addressing older people like myself, your hands ought not to be in your pockets. And furthermore, it's a sign of disrespect for those of us who are a little older than him to continue placing his hands in the pocket. And more seriously, Mr. Chairman, it is a convention. It is only respectful that when you are referring to the departed, such as late Right Honorable Speaker Mwanamwamba, you must include that his soul should continue to rest in peace. Is in order to breach those two conventions, speaking very cheekily with his hands in the pocket to elders like myself, and referring to our late, respectable, revered Honorable Speaker Musa Mwanamwamba, may his soul rest in peace. I seek your ruling, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member for Mbapashe, Mr. Chitotera, this House has got its own etiquette that we have to conform to. Apparently, touching your pockets or putting your hands in the pocket is not one of them. So let's ensure that we desist from touching in the pocket. I don't know, maybe you're holding the phone, we may not know. But let's avoid, if it's the phone, let's avoid touching the phone. You may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've taken note, and let me also say, may his soul rest in peace. He's a man I hold in a very high esteem. He was my teacher the first time I came to Parliament, and I learned a lot from him. And it's speaking even for Mr. Speaker, I can speak, or Mr. Chairman, I can speak for people of Chipata, because both Chipata Central and Luangeni, they've got sweets in their mouth, so they can't speak for Chief Mpezeni. So I'm going to speak for him, sir. So, on the serious note, we must be able to realize that the speaking or the freedom of expression is a fundamental human right that every human being is born with. Legislation in terms of the law, the Constitution, and various pieces of legislation comes in to beef up that fundamental right, so that where your rights ends and somebody's rights begins. Now to have a situation where people are gagged from expressing themselves, it is not the best way to mirror Zambia out to the people. We must be able to let people express themselves within the confinement of the law. The freedom on media houses. Minister, we have seen journalists being bundled and being harassed when they are merely carrying out their functions. I saw where it is written at one of the buses that don't hate the messenger. Hate the message. Don't beat the person who's carrying the message to deliver. It's just a conduit. I want to commend you, Minister, that yes, we've seen in the past 2 years, there has never been a closure on any of the media houses, but there has been muzzling of freedom of expression. One example I can give you, the Minister, maybe you may not know, by one of your institutions on the Hot FM, when they had hosted one of the commentators of the Republic of Zambia, we saw IBA writing a letter directing on how the program must run. Let's allow people to express themselves. If they come into conflict with the law, then the law should be able to take its full course. We must not be able to gag the people from expressing themselves. We must not be able to direct on how a person must be able to speak, on how somebody must be. If you speak, it must be within myself to say, that language, I cannot use it. Because I remember when I was growing up, my late father, may he so continue resting in peace, he used to tell us, when you are moving out there, your conduct and your movement will mirror the home where you are coming from. How you project yourself in public, the people will be able to see. That's why in my culture, when I was growing up, our father used to say, Infumu tayupira mupabi ni nshwasanko mupabi. Meaning, if you come from royalty, you can't go and marry from the subject in society. Then the royalty becomes a subject. It is that principle that we no longer follow today, that you find a chief, he will go there and there and there, diluting the nature of how to live. Media and the information. We have seen, Minister, we have introduced the Access to Information Bill. That bill, it is very critical for dissemination of information. But as we propagate that bill, we must bear in mind the security of the nation. We must bear in mind the security of the nation. We must be able to disseminate information, but not to compromise the security, because if there is no security in the country, there will not be any meaning of investment that would come to Zambia. And the peace for us to enjoy will not be there. So I want to emphasize, when we are churning out information, let's churn out viable, truthful, and verifiable information, not information that is aimed at injuring people's reputation, whether private or public. We must not be there to give out, especially as government, because when government speaks, people believe, and government must be the last institution to use propaganda. Government information must be based on policy and legislative framework, not opinions, not feelings. That's why government, all the governments across the globe, there is a procedure. That's why you see that there are those the bureaucrats and bureaucratic tendencies that are created in government are created to control, to over the oversight control among all of us, so that we don't go outside the perimeters that are structures and that are created within the government system. We have seen the minister in the past where a person is appearing on the radio station, another person, the uninvited guest will go in and join and said, I want you also to join the debate. Obviously, I have lived enough in Zambia and I've been in politics enough. The challenge of public office, when you are sitting this side, you are seeing those people in an opposite lanes. The time you cross over, you become the minister for local government and rural development. Those things you used to see wrong, they become green, and those you used to see the green, they become red. So we must be able to be focused. If it was red that side, it must be red this side.
Order.
I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Kambita.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for the opportunity to debate head number 26, Ministry of Information and Media. Mr. Chairman, I'll structure my debate as follows. First, I'll make comments of the importance of information in communicating to the masses concerning development and what is going on in the country. Communication is important because it brings harmony, and also it brings people to the same footing in terms of understanding what is going on, without which people speculate. And when you allow people to speculate, that's where you find now criticism goes on the increase, because people are criticizing from not a so informed point of view. But if they are well informed, they'll find it hard to criticize because they know and you are at the same footing in terms of what you're doing. That's why information is very important. That's the reason why I need to support wholly this budget line, and this ministry must be fully funded, probably even much more than what they have been funded. I will now zero it to the CDF, for instance. CDF seems to be one very important policy direction that the president has actually pronounced himself on the floor of this House, demonstrated by the Minister of Finance's appropriation in the budget. Today, CDF is now to the tune of over 30 million per constituency, meaning a lot of activity will be driven by that part of funding of our budget. However, the kind of information coming out of these activities of the CDF is not commensurate with the kind of activities that are going on in the constituencies, especially in the public media. We are now left without option but to disseminate the activities using social media. In my case, twice, Mr. Chairperson, I have requested for ZNBC to cover handover of CDF projects, including profiling ongoing projects in Zambezi East, so that the public know what is going on, what their government is doing. And this is to the advantage of the government, and yet I've hit a snag. ZNBC will show you lengthy processes of applying for this and that. They'll bring in a marketing department, and we don't have that time, Mr. Chairperson. I would simply just get in my vehicle and go to Zambezi, take pictures. Those interested can come and probably cover my event. If not, let it go. The people in Zambezi will know. But how about those people outside of Zambezi? How will they know how much has been achieved with this CDF, which the president is so passionate about? Mr. Chairperson, there must be a deliberate forum to address and inform people about CDF. We, members of parliament, must be at liberty to pick up reporters from ZNBC and cover the activities that are going on in the constituencies. It's a very important thing, and there are a lot of activities that are benefiting the poor people, the very poor people that we actually endeavor to uplift their lives. And therefore, them seeing themselves on TV and knowing what is going on is so important. And therefore, I'd like to address the Minister of Information and Media. Please prevail on the operations of the ZNPC. CDF is a game changer. If we call it a game changer, then it must have prime time on ZNBC. It needs to be propagated. How will it be propagated without engaging as members of parliament? How will it be propagated if it is hard for me to even move with a reporter to the constituency? These are the issues that we need to be talking about, Mr. Chairperson. I just wanted to make sure that I talk about this. In the issues to do with how the law sits, I think the information bill has come at the right time. We have struggled all these years. No government has shown willingness, actually, to make that law to be operational than this government of the New Dawn administration. This one has demonstrated that they walk the talk. We promised, when we were still in opposition, that we will make sure that there's access to information. We promised that all those media houses that were wantonly being closed at will for political reasons by these people here needed to be brought back. And true to the president's word, no sooner than we took power, then we had Prime TV opened. Which other radio stations? Many other radio stations which were closed wantonly, Combon Radio and others, they were opened and operational. That goes to show that there is now freedom of expression in the country. As you can see, most of the opposition members of parliament are allowed to say anything, except for crossing paths with the law. Of course, the president has repeatedly mentioned that where your freedoms of speech end, that's where the other persons begin. Therefore, people can now express themselves. They can comment on the issues ongoing in KCM and the like. I'm reminded about a question I raised, is it yesterday or the day before yesterday, concerning the mining issues, where I was asking the acting Minister of Mines concerning what the public are saying. I think that question was very deliberate, Mr. Chairperson. It was very deliberate. I was not attacking my own government. It was deliberate because all I'm trying to send to my beloved government, the message I'm trying to send is, let's scale up our communication with the people. Let the people hear us as often as possible. Whatever is happening in terms of the KCM, the milestones we have achieved in bringing back the ACM, let it be propagated. Let people hear. Let's give people hope. Let the people of Copper Belt know that we have a real deal in the UPND. We shouldn't veil information from them. Information is key. That's the only way we are going to get trust from these people. Many other things, things to do with Kasenseli. Let people know what is going on, what government has planned to ensure that that gold mine in Mwinlunga is opening. We need to talk about things so often, break down in smaller units for the people to understand, without which people will speculate. I began by saying that people speculate in the absence of information. We need to up the game. That's why this ministry is so key. And Honorable Minister, congratulations for being appointed Minister of Information and Broadcasting. You deserve that position, and I know you are equal to the task. Please use many of us who can propagate information and explain government's position. I thank you, Madam, Mr. Chairperson.
Mr. Mtacharo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson, for according me this opportunity to add my voice on behalf of the people of Chama North on this very important head 26, the Minister of Information and Media. Mr. Chairperson, from the onset, I want to state that I reluctantly support this budget. Why am I saying I'm reluctantly supporting this budget? In the sense that, Mr. Chairperson, the 190 million kwacha allocated to this very, very critical ministry is totally inadequate. The Minister of Information and Media has got a mammoth task. Just like other debaters have said, it needs to people should feel its presence in all the districts in this country. Now, with this 190 million kwacha, it's a drop in the ocean. We have these public media, the Zanis, ZNBC, Times of Zambia, Daily Mail. These media houses are having serious operational challenges. Zanis, they don't even have transport. In most of the area, they don't even have cameras. Now, if you look at buying a motor vehicle, buying cameras, this 190 million, honestly, it is a drop in the ocean. So it is my prayer that I think the minister must bring a supplementary budget so that this ministry can effectively operate. Mr. Chairperson, this ministry is being headed by a very energetic young man, just like the predecessor. They were all energetic and they want things to move. Now, with this 190 million, I feel this is not adequate. Mr. Chairperson, I am aware that there are some districts in this country where there is no Zanis. Chama is the oldest, one of the oldest districts in this country. But up to this time, there is no Zanis office. We depend on Rundazi and Chipata and Chinsari. And these are issues we brought before this House, and I'm happy that the predecessor, I think she did quite a lot, and I want to appeal to the minister that please, I think the people of Chama were assured on this floor of the House that they are going to be given an officer there and including the equipment. So we want also our CDF projects to be seen on ZNBC. So indeed, this ministry has got a mammoth task, especially on the issue of CDF. And that's why some people think that MPs are not working, because ZNBC is not able to show the development happening in several constituencies in this country. Secondly, Mr. Chairperson, I go on the access of information bill. It's good that this bill has been brought before this House. I know it has been a marathon, 21 years. It has been a long time. But we want laws which are going to be implemented. In the past, this country is very good at making laws, but these laws become academic. And I know that there are some stakeholders who have also expressed certain reservations. So I want to appeal to the minister that it is important that we must engage, because there are some organizations feel that civil society organizations are not effectively represented on the commission. Those are the concerns coming from civil society organizations. And people also feel that there is no adequate protection on whistleblowers. So these are some of the issues which I feel that before this bill is enacted into law, these are issues which I think must be taken into account. I go quickly to the issue of poor working conditions for our journalists. It is a fact that journalists today are working under very poor working conditions, both in the private and public media. So I want to appeal to the minister to ensure that I think we must be able to ensure that these, both public and the private media, are able to pay our journalists handsomely. I've been a friend of the media, I think, for the past 27 years. Both the public and the private media. I'm alive to the fact that they are going through a lot of challenges. There are some institutions, media houses, we don't even allow unionism in their places of work. I think it must be made mandatory that all media houses must be able to have unions at their places of work, so that these unions are able actually to represent and bargain for the workers in the media industry. Mr. Chairperson, I'm alive to the fact that there are so many challenges the media is facing in this country. One, they are paying too many taxes. We have given tax incentive to the mines, the tourism sector, but we have not given incentive to the media sector in this country. They are spending a lot of money on consumables. Inks, newsprint are quite expensive. So I want to appeal to the minister that these are some of the things which we must bring forward to the Minister of Finance so that we can even suspend duty, import duty, on some of these consumables which are costing these media houses. In 1995, when we had a problem of transport in this country, the Chiluba government suspended duty on buses for 1 year. And within 1 year, the issue of transport challenges was completely resolved. I'm also aware that the media personnel are going through a lot of challenges. They have become endangered species, especially with the change of government. I think that mentality must come to an end. These officers do not belong to any political party. Because even persecution of media personnel have continued even under the New Dawn government. Then why are we changing governments? If the same things which the previous government used to do, we also want to do the same things. Recently, 2 workers at Zambia Delme were fired just for getting a photograph of people queuing for Mimi in Indola. The assistant online editor was dismissed. The photographer was dismissed. That's very, very sad indeed. Yes. And I want to encourage unions in the media sector, the Zambia Union of Journalists. They must be proactive. Why are they allowing employers to be intimidating and firing their workers just like that? During our days in the trade union, we never used to allow that. It's very, very sad that unions have kept quiet when a lot of media personnel have been fired in almost all these public media, just because there's been change of government. I feel that we are not moving forward as a country, and I want to call upon this new government that please, let's discard those old habits. Let's discard those old habits. These people with families to look after. In conclusion, I want to also once more appeal to this government that there are so many taxes which have been imposed on the media sector. So please, let's try by all means to provide incentive to the media industry. The media industry faces a mammoth tax to disseminate information so that Zambians are able to make informed decisions. So with those few remarks, I say I reluctantly support this budget. I expect more funds to be allocated to this particular head. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Mapani. Thank you so very much, Mr. Chairperson, for allowing me to add 2 or 3 sentences to this very important motion which is on the floor of this House today. Indeed, Mr. Chairperson, the mandate of the ministry is clearly stated under the Act they operate under, and from the word go, we want to support the allocation. Further, it's important to indicate that the amount that has been increased from last year's allocation, this amount is quite reasonable, that 2, 3, 4 things can be done towards bettering the ministry. It's also important to indicate that ZANIS, one of the most important institutions, ought to be well funded this time around so that they can continue collecting information from the Lulu setup. The people from the Lulu setup are not second-class citizens. They are equal citizens who would want to ensure that they learn on what's happening from the urban areas. Similarly, they have some information which they would want to send to the people, to the central government, and people in the urban areas so that they can be heard as well on the happenings in the areas. It's also important to indicate that during this time we're in, this is the agriculture time, that the agriculture information ought to reach the people in the Lolo setup so that they can use it to better or to improve the agriculture sector. It's also inevitable that during the times when the country is faced with diseases, the 2 people from the Lolo setups would also want to have the information on what is happening. It's also important that we have to consider the Ministry of Information and Media as one of the most important ministries towards the establishment or the achieving of one country to be a democratic state. Information is power. People ought to have the rights, the freedoms to disseminate the information amongst their supporters. And this alone is one of the contribution factors towards attainment of good governance. So, freedom of speech cannot be realized or observed if the ministry responsible will not allow its citizens to actually enjoy this. We have seen it before, where our citizens in this country, at some point, were not allowed to disseminate the information to their supporters, and this brought a lot of confusion in this country. I want to believe that from the time when the New Dawn government came into power, we have seen people enjoying these rights, people be able to move from one point to another to allow the freedom of assembly and association so that people can share the information they have with their people. And this alone contributes positively to the political situation in the country, because people now will be able to compete using the grey matter, which was not there before. The issue of fisting is no longer a plus to any political situation in any given country. People ought to challenge each other through information or ideas. With these few words, Mr. Chairperson, I want to submit.
Dr. Chirufya.
Thank you so much, Chairperson, for the opportunity to contribute to this head. Chairperson, the role of the Ministry of Information and Media, in summary, is to formulate and administer policy guidelines, regulations, and laws on broadcasting services, cinematography, and information services. My attention, Chairperson, is immediately drawn to its vision, countrywide media coverage for a well-informed society. Chairperson, the attendant mission statement thus to promote and facilitate the growth of a sustainable media industry capable of enhancing free flow of information, freedom of expression, and national development. Chairperson, in the light of the above, I am ashamed to say that this ministry is failing to provide leadership on this score, because the ministry seems moribund regarding the advancement of the virtues of freedom of expression and free flow of information. The executive, through this ministry, Chairperson, have in the last 2 years done very little, if not nothing. Have done everything, Chairperson, to shut down the democratic space required for freedom, for free expression to flourish. Chairperson, no amount of question will succeed in deterring this presentation. And it's important that colleagues from the left, your left, Chairperson, listen to dissenting voices, especially if they don't want to listen to us here. Let them listen to civil society. Let them listen to the Zambia Catholic of the Zambia ZCCB, and let them listen to the CCZ. Chairperson, freedom of expression is the lifeblood of our democracy. Freedom of expression is the expression of life itself. You cannot enjoy life as we know it without freedom of expression. Chairperson, under the weight of a high-handed police service, we have seen all avenues of free expression blocked. And this ministry has done very little to open up and enhance the democratic spaces for citizens. Conversely, this ministry, Chairperson, has almost always sought to fill up the remaining small spaces with monolithic statements, narratives from the executives and the ruling party only. Informational flow
Information flow in this country, Chairperson,
There's a point of order. Though your name is appearing, Honorable Minister of Local Government, that you speak just before the Minister.
The procedural point of order, sir. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, again I rise on Order 65 and the rules of debate. You can see, even now, that the member who's on the floor is referring to some text from his telephone. He's reading his debate, which is not allowed. The last time I checked, you are allowed to use copious notes or bullet points to bring out your debate. But you can see he's even now intensifying his reading as he's sitting there on his phone. Is in order to be reading a text that we don't know where it came from, who sent it to him, probably by WhatsApp, instead of adhering to the rules of debate. And in making your ruling, sir, it is my humble request that you ask him to put his phone in his pocket.
Honorable Member for Mansa Central, I think let's desist from using the gadget. I know you're a capable member, you can debate off your head. So let's put the gadget in the pocket, as long as you don't keep touching the pocket. You can continue. So
Chairperson,
try to put the phone, it's not allowed, so try to put the phone.
Chairperson, the Minister of Local Government was born before computers. And he is used to writing notes using a pen. Therefore, he's comfortable holding, this kind of document to read and the like. But nowadays, Minister, you can actually write on a pad or on a phone. And it is nothing that contravenes the House. Be educated on that. You're a graduate. Chairperson, thank you very much for the guidance. And I would like to proceed. I am very much aware that my experienced colleague, whenever he sees debate that is not very conducive for the executive, he comes in to cut in. It's a skill. It's called politics. But Chairperson, I'll continue referring to my copious notes. Chairperson, it is important to note that the democratic space under this government has shrunk. And if you don't want to listen to the opposition, at least listen to OSIDA, listen to ZCCB, listen to CCZ, listen to LAS, listen to the common person out there, and you will be managed appropriately. Chairperson, the role of the Information Ministry is to enhance information flow in this country. And at the moment, I say it is monolithic. Information flow has never been this monolithic, where one privileged group is able to just direct the narrative without giving the opportunity to anybody with dissenting views. This is not the role of this ministry. Diversity needs to be accommodated, Chairperson. To restrict people's liberties is an affront to our democracy, especially freedom of expression. Those in government must never think that uncontrolled free expression will create an opportunity for them to govern without scrutiny. Mr. Chairperson, uncontrolled free expression must never be conceived to create diseased freedom. Misapprehension is what I would describe this. Mr. Chairperson, the aspirations of the nations are for a democratic state where liberties of individuals are assured, and freedom of expression is extremely important. The cure for diseased freedom is actually more freedom. Chairperson, let's avoid condescending and patronizing our people. The masses, the voters who are in charge, who put us into power, must be respected by ensuring that they have adequate access to information. It's the reason I would like to appreciate the Minister of Information for bringing the
access to information bill to the House. Chairperson, human rights demand that citizens should ask and access information as they will. And this is a fundamental human right. And I appreciate the Minister for bringing the ATI bill to the House. Chairperson, dialectics teaches that there will always be a conflict between order and freedom. Therefore, there should be a careful balance between the two in a civilized society. Chairperson, if this ministry is going to continue supporting our democracy, let it be seen to be the champion of people's liberties, freedom of expression. And at the moment, what we see is not the same. Minister, as you respond to my discourse, avoid setting the PF as your benchmark, because that is the common statement you'll have in your response. If the PF didn't do well, that shouldn't be your benchmark. Your benchmark must be what you promised the people of Zambia to improve the democratic space and to ensure that freedom of expression is assured. Therefore, don't set your bar low. And Chairperson, I want to emphasize that this ministry is fundamentally critical to our democracy, and it must be seen at all times to promote freedom of expression. Countrywide media coverage, not only covering the executive, but also covering the opposition, must be their benchmark. Referral to previous regimes that didn't do on that score is an assault on the social contract that you made with the people of this country. You promised to improve on it. So I expect not to hear from the minister's response, this PF government at the time. So Chairperson, I'd like to support this motion and this head and urge that the Minister of Finance improves the budgetary allocation to this head so that we can have journalists well remunerated and media coverage well enhanced. Chairperson, I thank you.
Mr. Chuya. Mr. Chuya.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And let me join other debaters, Chairperson, by outrightly stating my dissenting views over the allocation of 190.8 million to this head. Chairperson, this is a very sensitive head, and this is a head which needs more money. And as I'm debating, I want Honorable Minister to know that I am not satisfied with the monies that has been allocated to your ministry because of the nature of work that is your ministry engaged in. Chairperson, to start with, this ministry under 190.8 million kwacha has got 3 programs that they are going to look at. I don't want to go into these programs, but I want to look at the strategies of your ministry. One of the strategies, or 2 of the strategies, Minister, is to contribute to the dissemination of accurate information. Honorable Minister, what has been happening of late is quite worrying. We want accurate information to be coming out from ZNBC. We want accurate information to be coming out from Zanis, Times of Zambia, Daily Mail, and other institutions that falls under your ministry. Minister, the other one is to embark on vigorous publicity of government programs and projects, especially CDF, in order for the public to appreciate what government is doing. Honorable Minister, CDF, the enhanced CDF, is the flagship carrier of the new Dawn government, and is the flagship carrier for His Excellency the President of the Republic, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. If it is going to end up at disseminating these monies, and people doesn't know what these monies are doing, then it becomes a race in futile. Honorable Minister, I am speaking coming from Ron constituency, where a number of projects have been done under CDF. But how are the people going to know? Honorable Member for Honorable Nyambosa has got projects that is happening in his constituency, but people are not able to appreciate. Honorable Mungandu has got projects happening in his constituency, but people are not able to appreciate what is happening. Why? Because ZNBC is incapacitated. Honorable Minister, I am not going to hire a taxi to go and bring ZNBC staff from Kitwe to come into Ron constituency to carry out the government programs. I am not going to pay
ZNBC staff allowances from my money instead of your ministry paying them. That is why we are saying this money that has been allocated to you is not enough. How are people going to know when Zanis in Rwansha district, they don't even have a camera? How are they going to know if Zanis in Rwansha doesn't even have a motor vehicle? They don't have a PS system. Honorable Minister, in my constituency, 26 projects, only a few knows about them. And they know these projects because I have opened the Facebook page and I'm using my money. It is the onus of your ministry, Minister, to make sure that what government is doing is known by the masses, not only in Rwansha, is known by the masses countrywide. And they are only going to know if Zanis is equipped, they are going to know if ZNBC is equipped, so that they move from one constituency to another. Then we would have said government is working. Honorable Minister, it is again very sad that if you want to portray and show the community or the constituency, including government, if I ask you a question, you won't know what is happening in my constituency. Why should I put my own money to make a documentary and bring ZNBC to come and do that? Honorable Minister, the money is not enough. We want a supplementary budget. Sit down with your counterpart. We know Honorable Msokotwane is a listening minister to increase the money so that you can buy a Zanis vehicle for Rwansha district. You can buy a PS system for Rwansha district. Here is a situation in Chairman Chasefu. Here is a situation, Honorable Minister. We are doing monitoring and evaluation. ZNBC comes. We send a monitoring and evaluation vehicle to Kitwe to go and pick them. They come, 4 of them. I jump in that vehicle. The council who are the supervisors jump in that vehicle. Of course, with these other people, we can't manage or we can't fit in that vehicle. We need Zanis, ZNBC to have their own equipment, to have their own vehicles. It is amazing and sometimes it's even embarrassing. Even when ministers like you, the president, visits a constituency, Zanis doesn't have a PS system. You go to Ndora to go and bring old PS systems. Sometimes they would even fail. So this is the time, as we make appropriation for your head minister, we want you to start doing what the Minister of Home Affairs is doing. If it means cutting from the source, cut that man and buy Zanis vehicles for our district so that Zanis, ZNBC can be equipped. Honorable Minister, I also want to bring it to your attention that we do not want to see, or should I say, I do not want to see what was happening previously. I am a victim who could not be covered by Zanis, who could not be covered by ZNBC, simply because some chairperson there says if you cover that person, your job is finished. Job finish you. We do not want to see that. Make a change. Whether I'm independent, I need to be covered by Zanis. Whether I'm independent, I need to be covered by ZNBC. Not where if someone covers an opposition, an independent, then you go there and tell him, job finisher, or your job is on the line. No. We know you are a minister who is capable. We want to see change. The new Dawn government wants to bring change. We all want to be counted. That brings me, Honorable Minister, to the issue of even interviews. I've several times observed the Sunday interview, where I only see probably government ministers, government officials appearing on that interview. Let us start bringing opposition. Bring Honorable Mungandu there. Bring Honorable Mteacharo there, so that you can hear also what he wants. Bring Honorable Nyambose there, including me, so that you can hear what you can also offer in terms of views. That way, Honorable Minister, including our Dr. Chita here, that way, Honorable Minister, you shall be judged very, very correctly. I know the Wagners never fails, and I want to encourage you to work tirelessly and make sure that you line up things properly so that all of us can support even more your head next year. In conclusion, Mr. Chairperson, I am saying we need more money on this head so that government programs can be highlighted. We need more money to this head so that it can procure equipment for ZNBC, Zanis, and these other institutions. We need more money to this head so that as Times of Zambia and Daily Mail are hustling each other there, whether you want to separate them or bring them together, we want uniformity as a government institution. Chairperson, I want to sincerely thank you for for once more according me an opportunity to hear my views or to add to this aid. I thank you very much.
Mrs. Chonya.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, for this opportunity. I really needed to add my voice also on this very important vote on information and media. But firstly, I wanted to indicate that I've been a keen follower and participant of the governance processes in Zambia since 2001, when I was that time working under the Foundation for Democratic Process. And the issue of media coverage was one, that took center stage in terms of, how the coverage should be. And with that history and what I'm seeing now, I must really commend our government for striving very hard to provide balanced media coverage to all players in the political and governance processes. I am listening to the debate just made now by the independent member of parliament. I think the challenge really currently and what we need to do is just to reorient, these people in the media so that they align themselves to the aspiration of the New Dawn government, which wants to see that every player is covered. You agree with me that we do see the opposition on media, but their appearance, on other programs, as you have suggested, I think it's a matter of programming by the people responsible. Otherwise, even myself coming from the ruling party, I have my own issues with Zanis in Kafue, for instance, where I feel they are not doing enough, and yet nobody, really, I think stops them from doing what is good for all of us here, especially that we are talking about showcasing the impact that CDF is doing on our communities, such as including the police post that I'm just from witnessing its handover by the Minister of Home Affairs. Chairperson, there is a need, I think, as the Minister here does his work, I think the issue really now is about not the unbalanced coverage, but how we can regulate, especially this new media, the social media, that has made everybody become a reporter in their own style. And I have fresh on my mind currently the video that is circulating concerning students that were enrolled, in Kafue, and where an impression has been created that we as a Kafue CDF committee, sent our students there and subject them to those unsanitary conditions, which is not a correct position. I wanted to take advantage of this debate as I'm making the point, Honorable Minister, that our reporters need reorientation and retraining, that they should move away from unfactual reporting and researched, reports which are highly sensationalized, and in the end, they cause unnecessary alarm, to the public. So I wanted to put on record that that video circulating does not, those students that are talking there are not enrolled and sponsored by our CDF committee in Kafue. However, we do sympathize, with the situation wherever they come from, and which is, I'm sure, a wake-up call of what we need to do as government to deal with these unscrupulous people who are taking advantage of the CDF to provide such substandard, conditions and programs to our youth. I'm aware that a team of senior government officials have actually gone to follow up on that matter, and I'm sure that those people will be brought, to to book. But based on the same, I also wanted to use this opportunity actually to remind these same journalists, especially these self-styled ones who would go on social media and also start propagating information that they would not have confirmed. Such should begin to suffer the consequences, Chairperson, including those that are involved in cyberbullying and all the other illegalities, including the scamming that is happening through the social media. I think that is why we need to concentrate our energies now as we are looking at how best we can save the Zambians. You can imagine, even as we are talking now, somebody is impersonating me on the social media and trying to get money. And somebody was almost cheated out of their money. But they were, intelligent enough to send that money to me because they know me personally. And later on, I was to discover that actually that money came through because I had to follow up as to why they were sending me money, only to discover, that they had been engaged through this same scam arrangement. So we need to enhance the laws. We need our Ministry of Information and Media to collaborate very closely with the Ministry of Technology and ZICTA in particular to curb these illegalities. Otherwise, most of our people, will become victims of all these illegalities that are going on. Otherwise, I think the Independent Broadcasting Authority also has work to do in terms of ensuring that these media houses live to the expectations and to the standards and the regulations that they have put in place. Otherwise, we'll continue having these same media houses who will quickly go and report false information, causing unnecessary alarm to the nation. Thank you very much, Chairperson. I thought I just needed to put that record straight and also to encourage the ministry to continue on its trajectory of providing balanced media coverage to all players in the governance process. I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, worldwide it is conventionally known that there are three arms of government, those being the legislature here, the judiciary, the executive. There is also what is known as the fourth estate, which is the media. And the fourth estate is called the fourth estate is because they provide an official platform for disseminating information to the public, for the public to use for giving governments checks and balances. I want to begin by saying I support the budgetary allocation and take note of the complaints from colleagues both from the left and the right-hand side who said and wished that the allocation should have been a little bit more. I concur with their sentiments. Safe to say that we have to cut the suit to the size of the cloth, and to also indicate that the task ahead of my colleague and friend, the younger brother that I have, Honorable Mwetwa, to run this ministry is a mammoth one. And to reverse all the bad things that may have been associated with media management in this country is no easy task. And so I wish to encourage you, honorable colleague, that the success of any media sits in the governance mode. There is an authoritarian type of governance, which is clearly non-existent right now as I'm speaking, going by what has happened to a few fundamental things such as the president's push and drive to remove from the statutes the defamation of the president. Some people think that came by default. It was by design. It was to give people freedom of expression while realizing the fact that where my rights begin and end is where yours end and begin, or vice versa. Mr. Speaker, I would like to say that in order for us to give a correct assessment of the media situation in this country, we have no option No option at all, but to compare and contrast what used to happen before and what is happening now, and what we want to see happening in the future. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, it was very common those days that if an opposition member of parliament wanted to feature and air their views in a community or private radio station, you needed the police protection. Because if you do not get police protection, which police was also one-sided, you would then never live to enjoy the day that is following, because examples are too vivid for us to recite. Mr. Chairman, in Ndola at Sun FM, you know the story that is related to the invalid dropped through the roof for Jesus Christ to heal. One man who's president of this country today had to be evacuated through the roof because, and it was like a movie, a film, okay? Action movie, where a radio station that was housed in a 3-story building was surrounded by PF political members wanting the life of one man because he was expressing himself on the radio Sun FM. It was clear those days, Mr. Chairman, that in the case such as where we are now today, where an opposition political party member, or leader rather, owns a newspaper such as the Must, these ones, at the time when he was not even the president, they went and shut the Post newspaper that he owned. These same ones. And so it is surprising. It is very surprising to hear the very ones crying to be victims of the very song which they sang. To be victims of the very song which they sang. I do remember clearly Mr. Fred Membe, Dr. Fred Membe. I also remember his wife. I also remember young Joseph Mwenda sitting on Bwinjimfumu Road on the floor of the tarmac after they closed the Post newspaper one bright summer morning. These ones. Mr. Speaker, I do recall how PF members up in the Eastern Province when Dr. Nevas Mumba was trying to address a rally in the bush, peed, and I'm using a fancy word, peed, or in short, urinated in the mouth of a journalist. These ones. I do recall how Combon Radio was closed by these same people who are crying to be victims of the same song that they sang. And today they are saying that the democratic space is shrinking. These same ones, Mr. Speaker. It is very astonishing that we can have so much amnesia. We can forget so quickly how things were before and how things are now. My encouragement to you, Honorable Mweto, is that ignore the detractors. Keep your eyes on the ball. Give them space as you are now. Mr. Chairman, when there are shenanigans inside the opposition, the ZNBC go to cover them live. Live broadcast, unedited, uncensored. These ones. And they are now crying foul and saying the democratic space is shrinking. Blood was associated with public gatherings where media were to report. Scampering was the order of the day. We'll just hear PF are mobilizing, and you know that it's time to run, to take to your heels. Now today, they can be covered freely without looking in the corners of their eyes to see who is coming to attack them. Attacks, pangas, was common. Ask Gerard Shower, the owner of Prime TV. What happened? It was like a joke. We just woke up and were told closed. It was these ones who, when they were ministers, such as my younger brother is, who told one journalist to say, his name is Said, what's his name? He's got a Muslim name. Told him, Iwe Fumamunom office. You come into this office when Fred Membe or the opposition take over government by someone who's crying foul today. Someone who said, me, I can get up this morning, go and have breakfast in London, and come back after 10. These ones. Mr. Speaker, we are on our way to getting things right where media is concerned. And you see, we don't panic the way they do. Just today, Mr. Speaker, these ones, I received some text messages from a number of them, some outside, those who are on suspension. They are peddling a story with my portrait and saying I'm standing in 2026. And these ones, and I sent this to my president. I said, look at how stuck these people are. This is the issue that we are speaking about, that we must place our efforts and energies where it matters the most.
Order, Honorable
I think
Minister.
what you meant was correct. That
Time
we needed
is up.
to increase time.
There is a point of order by Honorable Nakaponda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Mr. Chairperson, is the Honorable Minister, Honorable Gary Nkombo, in order to say these ones when we are not here? Is he in order, Mr. Chairman? I need your serious indulgence. We were not here, Mr. Chairman. Standing order 65. Is he in order? I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I think what the Honorable Minister meant was that the party that sponsored you. Because when he says these people, he means the former ruling party. And apparently you are one of them. The Honorable Minister of Information and Media wind up debate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to wind up debate on this particular vote. And let me begin by thanking all the honorable members of Parliament and Minister who have rendered their views on this particular motion. These are Honorable Mungandu, Honorable Chitotela, Honorable Kambita, Honorable Mtayachalo, Honorable Mapani, Honorable Dr. Chirufya, Honorable Chuye, Honorable Chonya, and Honorable Nkombo. Mr. Chairman, having listened to this debate, maybe let me just indicate firstly that the state of the media in any country is a direct mirror image of the state of that particular democracy. In the 2 years of New Dawn administration, Mr. Chairman, no media house has been closed, no media house has been threatened, no journalist has been harassed, no journalist has been told to leave a government function. There are no preferred media houses invited to cover government. All of them are treated equal. Today, as we speak, the public broadcasters and media houses cover each and every citizen, including politicians, equally. It is quite unprecedented to cover the opposition where they will speak off cuff, and no one is worried that if the opposition says something divergent to the taste of those in government, you'll get retired in national interest. Such is the state of a democracy. And riding on what Honorable Nkombo has stated, it is self-evident, therefore, that Zambia's democratic space is widening. Today, each time the opposition have a press briefing or conference, they will be covered by the public media. No question about that. Even if no one from government has responded, they will be covered. Unlike it used to be before, that they will start with the response from government instead of what the initial issue was all about. But that is progress which we are all registering as a country, and that is what, change entails. A number of issues have been raised by various colleagues here, to which I cannot be able to respond one by one for want of time. And but one caught my attention from Dr. Chirofya, who spoke quite at length on what he was saying are the wrong things happening, which he associated with a shrinking democratic space. And he was reading from what I have just been informed by Honorable Mposha, that he was reading a text written to him by Honorable Nakachinda. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Order. When the minister is responding, you can't rise on a point of order. Let the minister wind up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was the information passed on to me by Honorable Mposha. Mr. Chairman, let me just indicate that the debate of Honorable Dr. Chirofya, the debate and submissions of Honorable Dr. Chirofya is welcome. These are such kind of debates we need in a democratic house like this one. There is no need that everyone who stands up should stand to support. There must be dissenting views. But some dissenting views are unfounded. But again, those are the benefits of a democracy. To tolerate views that may not be true or correct or factual, but you must coexist with them. That's the core essence of a democracy. So I thank you, Dr. Chirofya, for epitomizing democracy in this house under the good leadership of the New Dawn administration. This is how it should be. Other colleagues have spoken about the issue of the budget being insufficient. I would like to indicate that I totally agree with you. This budget is insufficient given the enormity of the work to be done. But again, we must ask ourselves, what is necessitating this budget to be this deficient? It is because of the economic situation we find ourselves. The New Dawn administration inherited a crippling and unsustainable local and international debt, leaving the economic resource envelope that has to be shared among competing needs rarely stretched. But I totally agree with you that this budget is insufficient given the workload of this particular ministry. Let me come to a conclusion, Mr. Chairman, by indicating here that I do agree that there is a lot of progress that is being made insofar as the public media, particularly ZNBC, covering the opposition. There's a lot of work that has been done and a lot of successes have been scored. But we must be honest to say there's a lot more work to be done. For instance, on Sunday Interview and Government Forum, and all of us here are part of government, I have never seen an opposition MP on Government Forum. I've never seen an opposition MP on Sunday Interview. Those are the things we are glad to hear, and we are going to work on them. And going forward, ZNBC have won. Mr. Speaker, I urge all members to support this vote without reservation. I thank you.
There is a point of order.
Chairperson, I thank you so much for this opportunity. Chairperson, Chemical Ali, or is it Honorable Minister of Information, Disinformation, has just cited my young brother from Monali constituency as having derailed his presentation by lying to him that I received a text from Honorable Nakachinda, neglecting my capacity to debate.
Order. As the time is 16:40 hours, I suspend business for a health break.
On Parliament television, business has been suspended for 20 minutes, and at the time business was suspended, the House was considering Head 26, Ministry of Information and Media, and the Member of Parliament for Mansa, I was just about to raise a point of order, and the minister just finished debating this head. Earlier on, when business resumed, the House did consider one question for oral answer, and just before that, Madam First Deputy Speaker did make three announcements, and the first announcement that she made was to recognize in the presence in the public gallery of the Zambia Scouts Group Association from Lusaka District, and on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, she did warmly welcome the visitors to the National Assembly. The second announcement that Madam First Speaker made was to inform the House that she had received communication to the effect that in the absence of our Honour the Vice President, who is attending to other government business, the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Honourable Jack Mwimbu, has been appointed to act leader of government business in the House from today, 30th November 2023, until further notice. And the other announcement that the First Deputy Speaker made was to recognize in the presence of the public gallery of Mr. Guedo Machunenta, a PhD candidate at the International Institute of Social Studies based at the Emirates University in Rotterdam in the Netherlands.